When I was a kid, all I ever really wanted to do was become a DJ. Even before I was a teenager, all my heroes were DJs. I used to listen to music on the radio non-stop, and that was what I wanted to do. Even before I was a teenager, I was wiring up speakers, amplifiers, sound systems, and little did I know at the time, but what I was actually doing was my apprenticeship. Very, very soon after I became a teenager, I was working in the nightclub industry. When I was 17, I was DJing in nightclubs, and even now, I'm 56 years old, I'm still in the nightclub industry. I've got 2 bars in Thailand, in Pattaya, Le Pub, and Milk in Soy Diamond. And as you can see, I'm not in Thailand right now. I've come here to the second city of Birmingham, and what I want to do is show you around a few of the places that I used to work many, many years ago. And this place behind me is very significant. This building here is really significant. It is a gentleman's retailer now, menswear, as Mr. Humphries used to say. But back in the day, in the 1980s, this was a very, very famous fun pub. It used to close at 11 o'clock, and this place was called, ta-da, Le Pub. It was the original Le Pub, and I didn't work here very long, but I actually just liked the name. So when I set up my own bar in Thailand, I decided to call it Le Pub. Not for no other reason really than I just like the sound of it. People used to go to the Windsor pub over there, have a few in there. Then they used to come to Le Pub, and after Le Pub, we then used to go to the nightclubs, the Dome, Pagoda Park. Maybe these are places that people remember. I haven't really got much to say about this place other than it was great in its day. Before it was Le Pub, it was called the Parisian in the 1970s. It decided to have a refit, and they said, well, we can't call it the Parisian now, we've got to call it something a bit different, so they called it Le Pub. It's great to see as it is. It's actually downstairs. We can see this sportswear shop next door. You actually go downstairs, and you used to walk in here and then go downstairs, and it was all happening in the downstairs area of the bar. So that is where it all started, and this is why I call my bar Le Pub. It all started here in Cannon Street. Let me take you somewhere else. This is John Bright Street in Birmingham. Very, very big in the from the mid 1970s up well into the 80s and into the 90s. Lots and lots of entertainment venues here. Most of them owned by a guy called Eddie Futrell, who was an absolute godfather, I suppose you could say, in the nightclub scene. Anybody that used to come to Birmingham and come out, do you remember just here? I think it was here. There used to be a taxi rank here. This building has been redone, has been completely rebuilt. But on this site, there used to be a taxi rank here, and you used to have to call up. You used to have to stand there. The taxis were here. You could actually drive down here in those days, and you used to have to call up to the building here to tell the girl where your taxi was going, and then she would assign you a vehicle, which was rather interesting. Just coming down here, John Bright Street, I never worked in any of the Futrell bars, but there were some massive bars here, and some of the big names in alternative punk. I remember Balloon Chaser, my usual cameraman back in Thailand, telling me that he saw, I think he saw the Specials here, and he saw a lot of punk bands here. On this very soil, and on this very road, I should say. We're not in Thailand anymore. And I came here in 2000 to work in a bar after having left a club called Legs 11. Legs 11 was a strip club, and there was the biggest strip club in Europe opening on John Bright Street. And I'll show you where it was. It was right here. It was called Spearmint Rhino Extreme. There was already a Spearmint Rhino here in Birmingham, but he decided that Birmingham was doing so well that he wanted to get another one, and he was offered this place. Can't remember, I know it used to be called the Roxy at one point, and it also used to be a nightclub whose name escapes me, but used to host the famous Sunday Central raves. Were in this building here. Now it's obviously a Mediterranean food and cocktail bar now. It's actually 2 venues, but the whole thing here used to be just one club, Spearmint Rhino Extreme. I remember it was actually Rhino that put out those flagpoles, although I don't think, well, I haven't got any flags on there, but we used to put the Spearmint Rhino flags out there. This was the venue right here where I used to DJ. There was something like 70 to 80 girls working every night, and to be honest, it never really took off, because the only thing that got took off was the girls' clothes, really, because it was just much too big. It was a massive venue. I remember when the Ryder Cup was at the Belfry, it got kind of busy then, but other than that, it never really got busy, even on a Friday and a Saturday night. It was good, and we had some PRs or personal appearances from certain stars, including, you may have seen this on the TV already, Jordan, or Katie Price as she's now called, but she was called Jordan then back in the day. She was like a glamour page 3 girl, and she turned into a bit of a superstar, and she made a personal appearance here with a camera crew, which I didn't know they were coming, and eventually it got broadcast on British TV, and I think it's like a reality show that she did, and it is now broadcast on Dave channel. Yes, there's a channel in the UK called Dave. So that was Spearmint Rhino Extreme. I worked here for about 4 years, and after that I moved to work with the manager from here, who set up her own bar, and it wasn't a million miles away. It was actually only just down the road. So over there is Horse Fair, and if you've ever been out to the Dome, which is now the O2, it's just over there, and we're now coming into Smallbrook Queensway, the big Radisson Hotel there, and just beyond that there, Chinatown, which I will take you to in a short while. But the club I used to work at was right here, and it was called Medusa, and it was another gentleman's club or strip club or whatever you want to call it. Now it is now outside is now a car park, and I'm not sure whether I'm allowed to walk inside, but this used to be one of the top clubs, places to go back in the day. There was the entrance, and I actually helped to build this nightclub. I wired up all the speakers and the sound systems. I helped design 1 or 2 things in it. You could meet one of the girls here, take them upstairs. It was a very popular bar for a while, and I don't know if you can see, but right here is where the fire exit was, and I used to take all my stuff in and out through that fire exit, and right now it's lying empty. One of the things that we tried to do when we were in here was we tried to get rid of this tree here. By the way, all of this mud here was all grass, so I remember this when it was all grass, but this tree here was in the way, so you got all these thousands and thousands of cars coming past every day, and of course you pay good money for a good location, and a good location means you can advertise, and so we wanted to make sure that people could see the bar, but this tree was always in the way, and what we tried to do was, we weren't allowed to chop it down, but we tried to poison this tree. But I can't remember how we did. I think we were knocking nails in its base. I don't know if they're still there. They might well be. It would be fun if it was. we were knocking nails in the base and everything and trying to poison this tree so it would have to be cut down, and so it would give better access visually to the venue from the cars coming this way. Some of the celebrities that I saw in here, well, Marilyn Manson came here, a lot of footballers. I remember Peter Crouch coming here, Lee Henry from the Villa was a regular visitor, Kieran Richardson from the Albion, and you know, just lots of big celebrities, and it was just a very expensive and interesting place, if you like. Medusa has now moved. It's now called Medusa Lodge, and it's right at the bottom of Hurst Street, and I was going to go and visit it, but I never got round to it. So that's Medusa. Right over here is Chinatown, and I want to take you there because there's somewhere that you might remember if you were a clubber back in the 90s. Another place that has become pedestrianised is here. This is Hurst Street, right in the centre of Chinatown, and very colourful, I have to say. It is very much a gay quarter as well. There's lots of gay bars and gay nightclubs, restaurants here too. And you may have spotted a familiar word. Yes, right here, this restaurant and the restaurant next door were the original location of the world famous Mr. Egg. Mr. Egg was actually these two restaurants here, all in one. It was a 24-hour Greasy Joe's, or cafe as we might call it, and it basically sold full English breakfasts, and the strapline for Mr. Egg was have a cracking meal. It was a Birmingham institution back in the day. 24 hours a day you used to come here, especially late at night. It got very busy, and every now and then I used to come here because I worked just around the corner, and I'll take you there in a minute. I used to come in here. There were a few drunken people in here from time to time, and everyone used to say, "Oh, look, there he is, it's Mr. Egg," because I looked remarkably like the logo for Mr. Eggs, and so the name stuck. Of course, I could have got really upset with it and you know, started lashing out at people, but of course I took that, made it my name, and now I am officially known as Mr. Egg. Both of these shops, 24 hours a day, eggs with everything. Let me take you around the corner, because Chinatown was somewhere where I used to work back in the 2000s. 你好，我叫 Phil. 我叫 Mr. Egg. My name is Mr. Egg. Here we are in the middle of Chinatown, and I just want to show you a place where I used to work. That's the famous Chung Ying restaurant right there. Chung Ying was one that everybody used to go on about and say what a wonderful food was there. I've always thought it was a little bit bland, but never mind, everyone's got their own opinion. But very famous, been there for about 30 years. So let's turn round. We're in Wrottesley Street, and here it is. This was the Steering Wheel nightclub, but also it was the original Legs 11 lap dancing place. It was Legs 11 Monday to Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday night it was a Steering Wheel. Steering Wheel was a very famous late night nightclub back in the 90s and early 2000s. Lots and lots of ravers here. Had a couple of gay nights here as well, because as I says, it was a gay area. There used to be a night here called Slag, which was straight lesbians and gays. But as I said, Monday to Thursday it was Legs 11, and then after Legs 11 became very busy, it took over the whole building. In fact, I'll show you where it moved to, because it got so big that it moved to another building. Very, very popular here. The celebrities that have come through that door, I think the door is actually that one there. I think that other one was a fire exit. So we used to have George Best, Noel Edmonds, I remember Rodney Marsh, and other cricketers coming here. Lots and lots of sports personalities and celebrities used to come here, and I worked here virtually every night. It was a great time for me. 1996, the club opened, and it opened because at the time there was no place, there was no strip club in Birmingham City, and 1996 was also the year of the Euro 1996, the European Football Championships, and so the person that owned the steering wheel decided to open a strip club here, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. Let me show you somewhere else, because as it got massive, this Legs 11, it decided to move, and it moved just round the corner here. This didn't ever used to be here, this seating area here, and it moved to this building here, and it was called Legs 11. Let me show you this building. There it is here. We are right in the heart of Chinatown now, here in Birmingham. And this building with the green top, which is all sort of got lattice work outside, that was where Legs 11 moved to. It was quite popular for a while. I remember it had a yellow floor, which I thought at the time was a bit strange, but one of the bosses liked the colour yellow, so we had a yellow floor. It's now called Libertine Lounge, but back in the day that was Legs 11. And let me show you this place here, because this place here is really something very special. This is United Travel Alliance, right in the heart of Chinatown. Must have been here for 30 years or so, and let me tell you, it was from this shop that I bought my very first ticket to come to Bangkok. It was 1996, and I paid about £300–400 for it. And this is a specialist, Southeast Asian travel specialist, so you can get tickets here to go to Vietnam and Malaysia and Singapore. All the writing, as you can see, is either in it's written in Chinese script. It's either in Cantonese or in Mandarin, and they still open selling flights. Obviously, people from the Far East prefer to buy their travel tickets from an agent rather than buy it online, I suppose. So it all started, my Thailand adventure, which I'm still on, all started in me going through that red door and buying a ticket. And I'll tell you a little story. As you can see, there are flights advertised on the window, and I used to be working at that bar I've shown you, Legs 11. I used to come here and it used to say Bangkok, £500, and I thought, oh, I'd love to go to Bangkok, but it's a bit expensive, £500. And then it went down to Bangkok, £450, and I thought, if it goes down to about 400 quid or whatever it was, I will go into it. And there it went. It went down to about, I don't know how much it was, 420 quid or something like that. And I says, right. And I went in and I booked my flight. And my very first flight was with China Air, I seem to remember, which used to go from Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam. So we flew KLM over to Schiphol, and then we went China Air, not Air China, but China Air. It was from Taiwan, and we used to go over to Bangkok from there. Tiny little seats, I seem to remember. So I hope you've enjoyed this little journey around my past here, some of the pubs and bars I used to work in here in Birmingham. I'll be back in Thailand next week, but from Mr. Egg, at Mr. Eggs, see you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.